But the most important is to your background and journey.
Sure.
How did you get to Dubai? How did you get into occupational therapy?
It's a relatively long story that I'll cut down really, really quickly.
90 seconds.
90
No,
seconds,
kidding, I'm
there you go.
kidding.
I'm Adam. Most people know Adam the OT was a pediatric occupational therapist, which means I'm kind of like a play expert for kids and how you can use play and use activities to develop the skills you'll need to be confident and capable in school and life, to grow up with a robust childhood that leads into a confident adulthood. How I got to here was I actually went back to medical school to study occupational therapy to impress a girl. That's a real true story.
I know.
Because I was a personal trainer. I was a fitness guy.
I hope it's a wife now.
She is.
Okay, good.
You stepped on my punchline. But
I'm sorry.
I was a personal trainer. I had met this girl, and one of my personal training clients, this older Indian lady living in Dublin, was one of my heroes. She had a son with cerebral palsy. And I found out about what occupational therapy can do to help this young man. I thought it was marvelous. But then I thought, my new girlfriend was thinking, I think you'd be really good at that. I was like, this, I would love to. But the only place I could study it was Trinity College in Dublin, which is a very fancy school. Trinity College Medical School is a very, very fancy school for smart people. I couldn't go there. But I applied there as a mature student because I thought she'd be impressed. And I never thought I would get in. And they asked me to come back, do the interview, thought it was a waste of time. And then I got accepted, and I spent a full year and a half thinking, I don't belong here. I'm not as smart as these people. And then I was as smart as these people because I did the job and felt this is what I should be doing. And when
you should always believe in yourself.
Well, yeah. It's the funny thing. Now on the 20th of December, me and the girl I was trying to impress are together 20 years. It's a cool story. So her name's Amy. She should take credit for most of it, as she absolutely does, but she's correct. And then to come to Dubai, then it was
kids in the middle.
2 kids since I came to Dubai. Yeah. I have 2 daughters of my own. But we came to Dubai because...
of your own, not from her. They're only yours.
No. Oh my goodness me. No, it's a totally different podcast. No, then me and Amy, when I graduated, the work situation in Ireland wasn't fantastic. And someone came to me with this opportunity to come to Dubai and develop a new service because it was for teens and young adults to go from being a child with determination into being an independent young adult in the community. And there wasn't anything like that in this part of the world. So that's what is a very exciting opportunity. I'll give it a go. And that was just about 14 years ago. And yeah, and then just staying around in a transient place like Dubai, and parents get to know your name. So you try and do good work. You're the guy parents recommend to other parents. And that's why I'm here.
Mouth to mouth. The same as here with Desert Meeples is mostly mouth to mouth, from one kid to another parent.
And in a place as transient in Dubai, I think that word of mouth communication is worth more because parents are always being sold to. When they get recommended something that's genuine, that feels like honest and really cares, you really feel that difference.
From your perspective as an OT, where does board games play an important role?
Well, it's play. So play, if you imagine like a surgeon has a scalpel and a psychiatrist or a pharmacist has a prescription pad, OTs have play. And a board game is another example. There's no wrong way to play. Anything's great. Board games, like the ones we see here, provide a lovely way, not only this intrinsically enjoyable and motivating and captures the child's interest. That's marvelous in and of itself. But within that, now you have things like learning structure, learning rules, cooperative play, depending on the level of the board game. You have so many here. Attention. There's all of these different executive functions, and they're fine. They're great to have. OTs, we love breaking down activity analysis. So you look at one activity like tying your shoelaces has 1,000 different mini skills in the pace of one thing. You could pick any one of these board games here, and I could tell you like 100 skills it develops. But underplaying all of that, it's interesting and it's fun. I have my like Adam's 3 laws of learning: fun, clear, accessible. Okay. It's a Venn diagram, but fun's on the top for a reason. Because if I could pull down one of these board games and the young person I'm working with was like doesn't care about it, it's a hard sell. If I let them pick any board game, it's that beginning part. But as long as it's interesting and captures the fun, then we can layer on the skill development and the challenge and the determination and the social skills and all of these other elements. But you need the fun part first.
And it's trying to take them to talk to each other. Sometimes kids are not used to actually looking at the eyes of other kids and talking. They're very shy.
Weirdly, I have this from a few of my like teens. They are very free to communicate in forums and on mic playing Fortnite or in like comment sections, but in person, especially there's quite a few of these games, you'll have collaborative play elements. So they're playing on the same team, or they're working together towards a shared purpose. And this is a totally new thing as well. That's why when you probably know many more of these than I do, but you can think, I'm looking for something. What do I have here? You're like, nerd reference. You're like Ollivander in Harry Potter when he picks the right one for the wizard.
Exactly.
You're like, wow, this is the one here because it will be for this kid. I know he's into like
for that group, and it's not that one kid. It's a group,
for
and
sure.
it's depending on which kid is in what group and the number of players and the day. And it's really, parents always think, well, they always tell me, I know, just grab one they played 2 weeks ago. It doesn't work. It's every single 2, 3, 4 hours before the class. I am sitting here looking at them. No, that one's not going to work. Sometimes, and it really takes me a long time to grab the perfect game for that day.
And that's like, there's this misconception OTs are always fighting against, where play is something that happens in the spaces between the important stuff. So play isn't work, it's what you do when you're not working. And this is old Ken Robinson says it, and Mr. Rogers says it too. No, for a child, play is the work of childhood. This is the important stuff. So that's why the importance of these skills you develop is enormous.
The same as the saying, if you have fun at work, you will never work a day of your life.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I send photos, and it's photos of me doing a board game, doing the classes. And my sister always keeps saying, it's kind of like, working again? I was like, yes, I'm working very hard.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
True. I am working.
It's my whole life, my whole career.
It's playing board games. Can it be better?
Like, look at that. Because, again, dads sometimes get a hard time when I'm talking, but I don't mean it badly. It's just their intuitive position. Sometimes we'll say, look at a therapy session and say, they're just playing. That's half right. So you are playing, but the word just is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. So it's not just anything. If you understood how much is going on in play, and if you have genuinely really intelligent people, especially if you look at, like, this is going total sidebar, but look at like theoretic physicists.
Yeah, we're on question 2.
Oh my goodness me, there we go.
We're going to stay another hour here.
You want for like quantum physics,
yeah,
and theoretical maths and stuff that's very out there, it's playful in its nature because you're trying out things. There's no stakes. There's nothing, the child's not worried too much. Oh my God, what if this happens? They're just developing skills. There's sometimes frustration as well, but that's part of the learning process too.
That's what we were saying in the tabletop, how more they risk and how more mistakes they do, less they care and more they play, more risks, more. Yeah, and taking risk is good at this age because the teenagers are always scared of what happens if what people are going to think if I make a mistake. With games, they can do it. It's not a problem.
Taking risk for sure. There's one I'd say even more important because taking risks is the natural end point of this skill, which is making decisions for themselves. What move to make, and it's not signposted. They're like, okay, what if I make the wrong thing? You do. So then it won't go your way in the game, and you learn from that. Even something as simple as a dice roll, then you can have this, and the dice kind of messed you up. Playing snakes and ladders, hit a snake's head, but you can't say it's not fair. The snake didn't care. The dice doesn't have an emotional investment in you. So you learn, sometimes that happens, and you get back on the horse and you try again and you roll the dice again. Every time, if you only got ladders, the game would be really boring.
Yeah. Can you say, for the people who don't know it, what the word neurodivergent means? Is it a new topic? It's a new word? What does it mean?
Yeah, the terminology is relatively new. These individuals who are neurodivergent, or sometimes you can say neurodiversity, is true of all peoples. Everyone has a different brain. You and I our brains don't look at all similar at all. They're totally different in their presentation. So everyone is diverse in their neurological presentation. Neurodivergent simply means it's a neurological presentation that is different from, you wouldn't even say the norm. The term uses neurotypical. So even within neurotypical people have preferences. So they have different ways they perceive and interact with the world. Neurodivergent typically means people with a presentation that's different from the neurotypical norm. So if you look at things like autism, like ADHD, these are individuals whose neurological presentation means they experience the world in a different way, a way that can sometimes be challenging, but the more they know about their own brain, and the more the community knows and understands why certain things are problematic, the more people can help them.
Wow.
Yeah? That's the first time I ever said that version of that, but it was cool. So that's the important part of that is these aren't new skill. These aren't new individuals. Neurodivergent people have been around as long as I've been people to be around. Course. It's just now becoming more and more aware.
Now is where we're putting labels. What do you think about that? You're happy with that?
Interesting. So we take the very important conversation that happened last years about For instance, I'll ask you, Kitty, I don't know if you know, if I had a friend of mine here, say we have my friend Barry.
Hi, Barry.
Barry is on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
Is Barry an autistic person, or is he a person with autism?
It's a person with autism.
No, he's not.
No.
In fact, he'd be the first to tell you, no, he's an autistic person. It's like being red-haired or right-handed. Okay. It's just a part of his existence. And it seems like the majority of people, no, you want his identity first, and he happens to have autism.
But that is his identity.
If you listen to people within the neurodivergent community, they will say, no, that's the suggestion that there's something wrong with it. It's something to be fixed. It's a part of who I am. So that's why they say they have their autisticness is part of who they are. So that's why labels can be helpful. They can be difficult and problematic as well, because people have their own perceptions what that label means and what that entails. So there's stigma, but we're always working to overcome that.
Okay. So board games.
Yeah.
Where do they fit into your therapy? And mostly for kids who are easily overwhelmed or anxious. How do you use board games in therapy in general?
Yeah, I love board games. Games in general, and board games because I can usually capture the young person's interest. And we get into the game before we even worry too much about the skills involved. For example, take something really simple like Connect 4. Play a game of Connect 4, me and the kid. I do this thousands of times in the first few sessions usually. I can see their fine motor skills. I can see their planning, their visual perceptual skills. Can they see where the danger and risk is, what I'm trying to do? So they're not just thinking about the game, they're thinking about me as well. So I can bring in so much skill development, but the main thing is this kid's going to be laughing. It doesn't feel like homework. So I can use board games as a way to identify, track, and then remediate or build a lot of the skills that would be a challenge for this young person in the classroom. And that one game of Connect 4, or that 10 games we play, it has a direct translation, not only to the kids' skills in the classroom, but their own level of confidence and their own level, here's the kicker, of self-awareness. So they'll be able to say, that's where I went wrong last time. You're not going to get me there again. So that kind of, it's called metacognition. That's hugely important. So I use board games all the time in sessions.
Right. Because some of the games are more, let me say, I'm trying to put that. So I'm reading this one. Focus and executive skill. So many modern games require planning, focus, flexible thinking. How do those demands help with attention, impulse control, and executive functioning, particularly with kids with autism?
Executive function is this umbrella term. It has a lot of those skills you mentioned about impulsivity, time management, understanding, comprehension skills, working memory. There's a whole bag full of them. But for the game to actually take place, you need a lot of these skills. So you don't get to have fun unless you set up the board, unless you learn the rules, unless you take time to learn, okay, it's my turn, then your turn. So the end product is we're having fun playing the game. So it's not, okay, you pull your socks up, mister, and try harder because what you're doing is not good enough. No, they're intrinsically motivated to actually put in the work because they want to actually get into the game. A common one, for example, is I'll have a young person bring me in a game they like. I probably know it, but I'm still going to ask them to teach me how to play it. So now they're in a kind of leadership role. And that's hugely important because if you're trying to really learn something, you try and teach somebody else how to do it.
It's hard.
And it's a role a lot of young people, they never had to fill before. So there's a novelty to it that's interesting. But then you see them step up to the challenge. And the end product, we get to do this really fun game, have this shared enjoyment, build rapport and the social connection, and all of that within something as simple as a black board game.
We do that as well in the Desert Meeples. Once they've played a longer period of time with us, but even the little ones, even my 6.5, once they've played the game a few times, I tell them, can you explain it? Yes. And they're so proud of explaining it, you know, and then they realize it's not easy. No, and it's amazing. Even the every age, 10, 12, 14, they're stepping up and they're actually explaining games. Can you tell me one moment where you had a real life impact, where you were playing a game and suddenly you realize that this is the moment where it's helped the kid. It's given an impact. One.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
There's a bunch of them, most probably.
Yeah, there's so many of them. I can think of one off the top of my head. I don't know if you've heard of this expression called PDA. So it's a diagnosis called In the DSM, which is our big thick book of diagnosis, it's called pervasive demand avoidance.
New words?
Oh, sorry, pathological demand avoidance is PDA. It means the young person has a lot of difficulty with taking direction from other people. They like to be in control of everything. It can be very challenging in a classroom. The more neuroaffirming term for that is a pervasive drive for autonomy. But for example, a PDA child may be playing a game nicely or drawing a picture, and you say, that's a lovely picture. They may scrumple it up, throw the table over, and destroy the room because you asked them to do something or you commented on something that was out of their control. Very, very challenging a lot of the time. So I have quite a few of these young individuals. One off the top of my head, PDA diagnosis. They had this kind of presentation. They had actually left mainstream education because of this. The school asked them to leave, and it wasn't the first school. And this young person couldn't lose a game. So they really struggled with loss and they really struggled with direction. And now I'm playing a game with them that I know they're going to experience loss a few times and they're going to take direction for the game to work. So it's leveled for beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then expert or wizard, I think that was called. And he thought, learn the game here, simple, but he only wanted to do the wizard version. This was for babies, and this would probably be impossible, is the way he saw it. But he wanted to do it because he knew it'd fail and destroy the thing. Let's try. So then young person got into the game. It was by a company called Smart Games. I love their materials. And so he was doing his little spaceship trying to get out of the asteroid belt. And then he would fail, he would fail, he would fail. And he got stuck and got so mad and angry. He was about to throw over the game. But then it was pausing, take a breath, and then think, okay, hit rewind. I give him almost like a little paper cutout of a remote control. Say rewind, back step, back step, back step. Okay, what if go here, go here? So I presented him with options that he could just have the same experience, but almost pause the world and think about his response to it. And then in doing that, he was able to be slowly successful through the game and overcome adversity. Then I took the same little paper remote control, just a thing I drew on a piece of paper, and said, see how it works in your real life. So instead of freaking out, can you hit pause? Can you hit slow motion on yourself? Hit record. If you recorded yourself about to do this, would you like to watch it back again? And all of this was just this remote control during the game. And it was only about this little plastic spaceship. But in doing that, he was able to develop the skills to deal with these mammoth emotions, and which stopped him going to school. But he was able then to apply them. And all you need is that. You just need a nucleus of something, just a spark of something to cling on to. And then this kid is doing really well.
So handling losing, it's normally a big trigger for children.
Yes, no? Classic one. If you have kids and your child, you'll hear the warning bell, canary in the coal mine, something's about to happen, is your child will repeatedly say, that's not fair. Because every kid is a hero in their own story. Any kid who gets upset in this room from losing one of these games, it's not that they lost their cool. In them, it was you're all mean and this wasn't fair. Everyone's a hero in their own story. I always get my teachers and parents to feel that. And even if they mess up the whole table and throw things around and smash the game, that was a rational act from their perspective. So it's more thinking, okay, was it not fair? Let's backstep and do a thing called feelings, actions, consequences. Feelings, actions, consequences. So in the game, you felt like this. This is the situation you're playing the game. This is how you felt when you were losing or about to lose. And this is what you did. How other people felt what they did, how you felt what you did, and it goes round and round. And this is the consequence. The only thing you have control over. It's important for the child to realize it doesn't matter you feel upset. That's perfectly natural. It doesn't feel nice to lose. No one likes that. You want to win. But you have control what happens next. So if you lost and you think, okay, I get really upset. This is not fair. He was mean or he took my turn or something, or the dice were bad to me. I get upset, and then the game, no one has fun. But on the other hand, you have a choice here in this one little moment of the box and think, okay, I can take a breath and think, do you want to play a game? Do you want to say good game? How the other person feels and what happens between what they do and what the other person feels beside them is magic. As soon as they realize this part's within their control, because when they're younger, their frontal lobes aren't formed, they feel like their own brain, their own emotional response, their limbic system is swinging them around by the tail. So once they realize that's a choice you get to make, then the young person's like, oh my gosh, really? And it totally changes the game.
All of this, do you have it in manual? Do you have it in books, or is it just your therapy classes?
Well, there's many. That called a fact
Your own,
sheet.
I mean.
No. I have done them. So I usually do them pen and paper with the kid, so they can see them develop. But it will be something I should do, of making this sort of format because it's specific
Yeah,
to
because
the
then the
context.
parents can take it,
Yeah,
you know,
for
and then
sure.
go through it, because the parents will be playing board games at home, and it will happen. And what I find a lot is it's worse at home. The kids who come and play with other kids in an ambient as a
Yep.
classroom, they can still control themselves a little bit more. But at home, they don't control themselves.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is that the parents play, we're gonna let him win. And they do it for so
Oh,
many years
yeah.
that at some point when they lose the first time, it's kind of, how can that happen? I always win, you know, I am
Yeah.
amazing.
You're doing a child a big disservice. I
Yeah.
actually had that. I think I mentioned it on the talk in the conference. Is I had a couple of dads message me in the same week asking, my kid gets really upset when they lose. Should I just let him win? And it's something I'm really a big advocate of this. Like, no, you don't let them win, because even if they won the game, but they lost the lesson. And you cannot do
Sounds
that.
good.
Yeah. So that part, because there's a lot of things, and I'm a hypocrite. I'm a dad of daughters, and I don't like to see my daughters upset. But at the same time, I know how important that resistance, like a blade can't be sharpened without friction, or a diamond hardened without tension. So that pressure, that's what forms diamonds and makes blades strong. Otherwise, the first time you bring it into battle, it's going to shatter. And you're standing there in a war with the handle in your hand. So in trying to protect your child, this is so universal, you can rob them of their own developmental opportunities. If you have a child who can't tie their shoelaces, and you tie their shoelaces every morning for them, but you don't give them the chance or the opportunity to learn, or teach them in my sneaky way that I can teach any kid to tie their shoelaces in 10 minutes, if you always do it for them, you're robbing them of their chance. It's literally like developmentally, you're taking the vegetables off their plate. This will be good for them to eat, and you're not giving them a chance. So you want to make sure you're giving them the opportunities to develop those skills when the risks are relatively small. They have to develop these skills. Otherwise, you're sending them out into life unprepared for the challenges the world's going to face them with. Because the bottom line is the world doesn't care about their feelings, and it will teach them if you didn't. And the world's going to teach them in a really harsh way.
Yeah. So the million dollar question, screen time versus playtime.
Yeah.
We have so many parents now being worried about the kids spending too much time on the screens. But how realistic is it to do one night a week with parents and children and board games? Take them away from the screen with this Dubai life being so busy.
Yeah, it's
It is
very
realistic.
realistic. It's 100% realistic. But if you do it out of the clear blue sky, and you're not really believing in it, it hasn't been part of your family's culture before, then it's probably not going to be. It can't seem like a chore. And like the elements, to paint a masterpiece, you need a blank canvas. If you're trying to paint over something that's already covered in scribbles and writing, and you just won't see what you're trying to achieve. So this element of limiting screen time, it's not screen time versus playtime. Those two things can coexist. There's an element we strive for called occupational balance, as is true in all things, parents as well. When you're trying to limit the screen time, now they have opportunities to do other things. If they have untrammeled screen time, and they have, some of my families, it gets genuinely out of control, where they do their homework, okay, homework's finished, screens, and that's all they do. OTs, myself in particular, because I'm big for physicality. Screen time itself, yeah, there's issues with the attention span, YouTube videos, cycling things, Instagram reels being really short attention span things, all of that neurological fireworks going on. The main issue for me is the opportunity cost of screen time. The time on the screen is time you're not doing other things. So using something like a pedometer. I advise this for a lot of my families. Is your child getting enough movement? If not, then screen times are probably getting in the way, because the number's not going up on the screens. So getting enough physicality, natural age appropriate play experience, then I don't mind think of screen time like treats in your diet, like your croissant. So that's not bad if you've had
Still there.
I seen you had your green juice. So you have your green juice, so croissant's not so bad. So are you having enough good stuff? And then for the board games, make it part of your family's zeitgeist, because regardless of the screens, I guarantee you, for a child, the most important thing in the house isn't the screen, it's the other individuals in it. They want to, if your house was burning down, they're going to check the family members are okay before they check where the iPad is. So it's still you as the most important person.
Good. You run Hakiki Mental.
I do.
Gosh, can we start again? Can you imagine former board groups? Okay, so you run Hakiki Mental Health Clinic. Hakini. you run Hakimi mental health clinics.
Hakiki makes it sound Hawaiian.
No, we're in Hawaii. Can you imagine in your clinics having board game groups or board game classes? Do you think that could be something could be implemented at the clinic and in schools as well?
Yeah, for sure. We've run social skills groups before in my previous time here in Dubai, and you naturally look for things like this. You look for things that catch your engagement. We do it naturalistically in therapy sessions as well. So doing it as part of a broader, especially this word I think is really missing in Dubai, community, as a broader community development thing where it's not just the therapeutic work the therapist does hands-on, but you're building a group of parents and individuals, kids and teenagers that support and get to know one another as well. That's why you want to take the therapeutic nature of the thing outside of the clinic. Do it in the clinic, but then these relationships continue in the community and homes and neighborhoods as well in Dubai.
That takes us to the next question. Yeah. You prefer this. So, local gaming communities, clubs like the Desert Meeples clubs, those are the ones we need to get more use of, So, I don't know how to say it
I would say that, how do you see the role of local gaming groups like Desert Meeples or whatever else? How do they fit into that broader plan for community development?
So now, you give the question as the answer?
No, you just ask that one and then I'll answer for you.
Okay, so let's do it again. So imagine we're starting now. I completely forgot.
What role do you see groups like?
So going back to what you were just saying, what role do you see in groups, Desert Meeples, who does classes, or local communities? They do role-play gamings, back to games, who does Warhammer miniatures. They all get together and spend hours together as a community.
Yeah, they're hugely important. I'd say it's nowhere more important than in Dubai, because the thing about Desert Meeples for yourselves and Warhammer for my gang as well, it's kind of developed and supported from within the community. It's there supported by and accessible to people in the community. So that element of grassroots level development that takes it out of the central spaces of Healthcare City and out of the schools and into where life happens, into where the children and young people and families live and exist. That's the important part. So it's not separate. It's not an after-school activity they do elsewhere. You bring it home and you give people not only that, but you give people ownership of it, where they're driving. They want it to be successful themselves because they enjoy it. It's a space where they can meet and hang out with people they kind of enjoy spending time with and get that emotional, personal, face-to-face connection, which is so missing in a fast-paced, modern place like Dubai, and in this generation as well.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of people think, well, maybe that one board game session in your clinic is enough. But board games are for all the time. It is, apparently it's not only for the kids. That's the biggest concept I've got. Board games are for kids. No, they are for parents as well. And the magic when parents actually play with the children and the memories created for so many years later. I mean, I don't know if you played with I played with my grandma. We played Rumikub. And I still, 40 years later, I still remember,
That's cool.
Playing 6 years old with my grandma. And that is you want to try to build some memories and quality time with your kids,
I love it. Things like that as well, that like the sense of community. And I don't know if you know many of the Warhammer guys or that community as well, because it's not about the game. It's about the game for sure. We all love that. But it's part of that group of kind of oddballs who are semi-obsessed with this thing. And your Instagram algorithm's all about it. Your board game people get to know other board game people. And you go on holidays to a city you've never been before, but you find a board game cafe and find someone to play a game that you both know. And so this shared enjoyment thing that's kind of lovely.
No, it is great. And actually, board games, from Warhammer. This is not Warhammer, but look at this, what we did.
I love it.
Amazing, eh? So this was done by the kids and me.
That's fantastic.
Imagine the attention to detail and the focus.
They paint them?
Yeah. Oh, we did it together. I did the base. Amazing, eh? And this is a game.
Not
So
bad.
some games have the miniatures, and that's a whole Warhammer world. This one is just a pure board game.
I love that. But
it's so cute, no?
Warhammer, the other one is similar, the big crossover between them, but like D&D people too.
Yeah.
So it's so social. You can't play that any of these games without someone to play with, and someone who's a good kind of partner as well. You kind of need to help one another have a good experience with it. So that's lovely. I really like that a lot.
And the storytelling from other games.
Yeah, massively so.
Parents in Dubai come to you and ask you, give me a board game I can use to help my kid. Not just for fun, just for, which has a beneficial mental benefit, a specific game which is not just for fun.
Yeah.
One of your favorite ones.
This is a tough one. I feel weird because you know more about this than me. I'm like looking around the room now. There's a few I use that are very low bar of entry, as in you don't have to really learn the rules more than 10 seconds. So intro ones I like. There's that game, a very simple game called Cluster, the magnet one. The magnet with a little lace. You have to place magnets, and if they connect, you have to collect those. You have to get rid of all your magnets. Highly recommend it because it's very rapid fire. It's very dynamic, so it's fun. Magnets are fun to play with. So when it picks up, there's immediate giggle response. There's a lot of control. There's a lot of playful banter between them. And interestingly, there's not really this is an important part for me when I get to family games. There's not an advantage to the parent. So play Trivial Pursuit. Play Trivial Pursuit against me, my family. I'm going to dominate. I love trivia. So I will really want to win that. And it's quite hard for my kids to compete with me on Trivial Pursuit. But a game like this, they'll likely beat me relatively, maybe 50% of the time. So something like that as just to get into the idea of this reciprocity of we're playing this game, having this shared enjoyment. So that's a really good starting off point. After that, it's whatever the young person's interested in. Even something you could take the classic example of Monopoly. Are they into Star Wars? There's 20 different versions of Star Wars Monopoly. And it's even better if you as the parent don't know as much about this subject.
It's better.
Then the young person can teach you what all these places are.
Because then they are the
100%.
bosses. Yeah.
So that's magic.
What I find a lot as well is when there is a different in age or different in intellectual, that games which are luck-based can help a lot, because then you're not going to win because you are smarter or because you are faster. It's like kind of like it's luck-based, and then we are all having fun. And most of the time they can win, you know? And games you would avoid for children who are more...
Weirdly, I know I seem like I'm contradicting myself, but things where there's a long setup, and there's things where you have to be the fun place. So if you're always jumping in and say, no, not like that, put that down, no, that's tricky, especially for the younger players or players who are not that used to board games. So for example, Monopoly, I'd say, I don't know how, on Christmas Day, how many games of Monopoly end in tears on Christmas Day specifically?
It's too long.
Because that's unfortunately, I tell you, overall of
there's so many more.
But if you ask a lot of families about the perception of board games, they're thinking of things like Monopoly on Christmas Day, when the family for some reason want to have like a core memory moment.
That is the problem which we need to change.
And plus the fact, it's the worst time to do this. And you have all their new toys you're telling them they can't play with, I want to do this. No, it should be a regular thing and have a lot of variety. And even if it's going not fantastic, so what? Even if the game was a negative experience, you can say, oh, I'm not having fun with this, and acknowledge they're feeling bored, like, yes, you want to do something else. So it's not, what's your goal? Develop some skills, have a shared enjoyment thing. Who cares if you get to the end of the game or not? If you want to scrap this and bring it a different one, fantastic, do that. It doesn't all have to be core memories. You're not doing it for TV. You're just doing it for your own family. So make it fun.
Yeah. Final message to anything you want to say to parents out there who maybe don't play enough and want to start, or to the community group, or to all of us. How get more together?
Yeah, just play. So when you're an adult, if you think, for the parents, for example, think of the things you like to play with when you were a kid. So what sparked you? What filled you with joy? What filled you with like light? And understand those things are still inside you. That little person's still in there in you, even though you might have forgot how to play. And this old adage of we don't stop playing because we get old because we stop playing. I'm in the privileged position where I play professionally. So I'm an OT. My whole life is play. Your kids haven't forgotten that yet. So get back down to their level and they'll teach you about it in 10 minutes flat. You'll remember what it feels like. and you'll remember what it feels. You'll see it in them. And
the
now you're
joy.
speaking, you'll be able to have this shared enjoyment and speak this new language through a fun thing that you will both get to enjoy. Understand, you're not doing this for just your kid. It's for you too. And then these memories you're making and these connections you're having gives a format to develop skills. It gives a nice stage where you can talk about challenging subjects while you're in the game. It doesn't feel like very on the nose. And you'll keep these relationships. Imagine it could be 40 years time, you're playing the same game, but now you're the older person and they're coming to play with you. So the dynamic lasts. There's so much to be gained from something that's just play.
Yeah. Everybody should have one night a week where they say, we do every Thursday night, we do pizza night, taco night, whatever the kids really like. Yeah. So they've got that connection between food they like and put a board game on the table for 1 hour. It doesn't need to be that much. And get to know what's out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
No, you're very welcome.